I often teach a cast on, what I call the complex two needle cast on, in several of my different classes, and particularly when I'm doing a knit one below classes, because this cast on gives you this nice stretchy flexible cast on edge so that you can go directly into expansive fabrics, um, like knit one below. And also some lace knitters use this when they're having to cast on the edge at the beginning and then knitting from there, because they don't want the edge to draw in. I originally learned this cast on from a video many years ago, from a woman who said that she learned it from her grandmother. I then also found it in written form in The Principles of Knitting by June Hemmons Hiatt. That is where I've found it in written form. So I'm going to show you this cast on, and I hope you'll be able to use it in the future. I'm particularly putting it up for my students who learn this in class, and then they always say, oh, I wish you had a video of this, and it's so easy to throw one up on YouTube now that I finally decided to do so. So you're going to use two needles. Usually you use a larger needle, like for worsted weight, I'm using a size 6. And then you're going to use a smaller needle. And I always use at least 2 sizes below what I'm casting on with on the top. The reason why you do that is this needle, the smaller needle, is going to determine the size of the gap between the stitches. And that's because you're going to be casting on stitches on both needles, and then eventually you're going to pull out this bottom needle so that you're only counting the number of stitches that are on the top needle, because those are the only stitches that are going to be remained in your cast on needle, because you're going to pull this needle out. All right, so you can do smaller than just 2 sizes, if you want. It just depends on the size of gap you're going to want between your stitches. So I'm going to begin with just a regular slip knot and place that on my top needle, what's going to be my top needle. Then I'm going to place a smaller needle underneath that needle. And I'm going to set up in a regular slingshot position with the tail going over my thumb. And so those of you who know long tail cast-ons know this slingshot position. And then this is the first half of the cast-on. You're using the slingshot position, and you're using both needles, and you're going under that yarn that's on the front of your thumb. So you're going under with both needles and through. And then as you approach the yarn that's around your index finger, you're going to do a yarn over on that top needle. Then you're going to dive the points of the needles back down through the thumb, like that. And then as you raise those points up, you're going to take that yarn that's on the outside of your thumb, and you're going to place it between the needles. When you remove your thumb out of that loop and begin tightening it, it's going to place a stitch on that bottom needle. That's the first half of the cast on. Now you're going to do the twist part. And so I just tightened the stitch with my thumb. You can see that I'm in the typical slingshot position when it's pulled straight out like this. And now I'm going to do this slowly with description. It gets easier as you do it, but you're going to take the points of the needles and point them away from you, and then down, and then toward you. And as you're doing that, you're letting the needles twist in your hand, and then up. Now that feels very stiff when I'm doing it like that. But I wanted to show you step by step how you're adding that twist right there on the cast on. You'll position yourself back into the regular slingshot, and then you're going to do the same thing. Through the loop, up to the finger, around as a yarn over that top needle, back down through the loop. As you're raising those two needles up, you split it from back to front. Take your thumb out, tighten. You set up to go around in the circle, which you do. And now you're ready to set back up. Both tips go into the loop, go around the top needle as a yarn over, come back down through the loop on your thumb. As you lift them up, you allow that yarn that's on the outside of your thumb to come from back to front between them. Take your thumb out, tighten it, and then do the loop. Now if you notice, I'm going to do a little quick here just to show you the rhythm. Once you get it down, notice how my left hand actually rotates to help do that twist. It's moving this way while I'm moving the other hand that way. And you'll find that that way it doesn't feel like you're breaking your wrist of your right hand trying to do that twist. You'll find your own rhythm. But the key thing is, as you do that twist, let me show you again. As you do that twist, you're actually lightly holding the needles and letting them rotate. So at one point, the small needle's on top right there. But as it comes back up toward you, you're letting the other larger needle rotate back to the top. And as you can see, we're back in our original position. All right. One more time. I'll take both points, go through the loop that's on my thumb, do a yarn over around the top needle with that yarn that's on my forefinger, bring it back down through the loop, both tips. As you're raising them up, bring that thumb yarn from back to front between them, off your thumb, tighten it, hold in this position, rotate away from you, the points down toward you, and back up. Now, once you've got the number of stitches cast on that you need on the top needle, you're counting it only on the top needle. So I've cast on 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Let's pretend that's the number I needed. Then what I'm going to do is simply hold my needles, pull that bottom needle out, and there you can see I've got all this extra space between my stitches. See how that opens up? Now, of course, if I'd put a smaller needle there, this space would have been smaller because there would have been less yarn twisted around this, a smaller needle. And that is what I call the complex two-needle cast on. And it gives you this wonderful edge, flexible edge, stretchy edge for a fabric that is more expansive. I hope you find all sorts of uses for it.